In honor of Memorial Day weekend, I'm going to do a posting here on U.S. military Jeeps, Willys Jeeps from the Second World War in 1/18 scale, and particularly how they compare to Marauder figures. All of these Jeeps aren't really made for action figures. I do not have a 21st Century Toys Ultimate Soldier Willys Jeep. That would be one that would be made for action figures, but I doubt it would fit Marauders. However, all these Jeeps are die-cast or collector's models, Jeeps, not for toys, but for display purposes. So let's get to it. All right, we'll talk about. Let's start with a basic Willys Jeep here. So this, I'll have to flip them over to tell you which brand, who is who, and some of them have been sitting. All right, this is a unbranded Willys Jeep. So I have so many because you can get Jeeps fairly cheaply, and I'm a World War II buff. This is an unbranded die-cast Willys Jeep in 1/18 scale. Here it is with a Marauder figure. Now, chances are, if you're watching this channel, you know exactly who Marauder is, but if not, look up Marauder Inc. if you're into 4-inch action figures. And they have a whole line of military style figures and World War II ones in particular in relation to this topic today. So, the Marauders are pretty tall. You'll never get them into this tight squeeze of a Willys Jeep. In fact, I can waste time and show you. There's just so little room inside die-cast toys to. You never get him. I mean, his feet won't even fit into the foot pedal area. But that being said, it doesn't stop me from getting them and adding them to my collection because they look great. So the soldiers look great next to the Jeeps. And I remember when the Marauder World War II line hit a couple years ago, and there was a lot of questions about which vehicles are appropriate with the Marauder figures. So anyhow, if you're into World War II stuff, you want a Willys style Jeep for the American forces. Now, we can get into the nuances of history, and there was programs like the Lend-Lease program where the Americans provided Jeeps and military equipment for the British. We also did it for the Russians. So there's no shortage of World War II Russians using American tanks and equipment and trucks and vehicles, and as well as the British and the French and so on and so forth. But as far as icons go, it's an American Jeep painted olive green, white star. That's the telltale look for World War II. So this unbranded version is our first example. Now, to give you a little quick comparison, let's see which brand this one is. This is a Willy. So you can see there are slight differences in the Jeeps. Now, disregard this military police sign. It's something I made a while ago. The Jeep didn't come with it. But there's slight scale differences in the hoods and the grills and things like that, or as you English folks would probably call the bonnet. And, when you have them lined up in a convoy or something, nobody would ever know. Willys Jeeps were produced by several manufacturers. One was the Willys Overland Corporation, which was the main one. And then there was a Ford. That Jeep was called a GPA. And if memory serves, the parts were standardized so you could swap out parts to keep a vehicle running on the battlefield. So anyhow, an unbranded version and a Willy version. So once again, you can take a typical Marauder figure and put it next to the Jeep, and it looks just fine. Let's move on. We're going to do this Jeep last, so let's move on to this wonderful Jeep here. So this one here is truly made for the die-cast vehicle collector market. This one is called Auto Art, is the manufacturer. So it comes with a trailer. Unfortunately, the knuckle on the back of the Jeep is it's involved. I'd have to pull a pin out to get the trailer to hook up. But there's so much detail packed into this particular die-cast model. You have an option for a 30 caliber Browning machine gun or a 50 caliber. It gives you an M1 carbine in its storage case on the fold-down window. It's got cloth fabric seat covers. It's got a radio with a little headset and antenna. Just loaded full details. Oh, under the hood, full detail under the hood, full engine compartment, all die-cast, rubber tires, steering, great stuff all around. And the trailer's full of accessories as well. So the trailer has crates and jerry cans, a fuel drum. It's got a wire to connect the electric to the Jeep, so the brake lights, in theory, would work. All the little details are there for the die-cast collectors. Now, for the action figure crowd, unfortunately, while this Marauder figure looks great next to it, it just doesn't fit into the driver's seat. So, but standing in profile, I think he looks pretty good. These Marauders are great figures. If you guys are World War II collectors or historians of any sort, you would know their details pretty good. There's a couple of little nuances that they didn't get correct, but it's totally forgivable for toy collecting purposes. And I can nitpick, and maybe I will, but let's move on for now. So this Jeep, I believe, is a, I'd have to flip it over. So this is a medic Jeep, obviously, in a camouflage pattern. Now, I know before I mentioned the olive drab color scheme with the white star, but one thing I've learned with military history and uniforms and camouflage and all that is never say never. Like, they never camouflaged a Jeep or they wouldn't have had this pattern. Somebody always did something out of the ordinary. This one is a strangely marked one. It's like FCA is, or Round 2 is the company. But generally, when you see these for sale on eBay or whatever, most of these are like off the market at this point. They're listed as unbranded. So anyhow, because this is labeled as an evac hospital medic Jeep, I pulled out some old MASH figures, which are articulated enough and small enough to fit into this Jeep. So here's Klinger and Hawkeye just yucking it up, laughing at the horrors of war and all the casualties they're going to have to sew together and then drown their sorrows in alcohol as they did in every episode. So another die-cast Jeep, rubber tires, steering and everything. The hood on this one does not open, but the detail on the bottom is pretty reasonable. So I would consider this paint scheme a Mediterranean campaign paint scheme, like Italy, Sicily, that sort of thing. Particularly the British would have had some of their soft skin vehicles painted sort of in this intermediate desert to to foliage covered camouflage scheme. But I like it. It's another variation in the Jeep world, and I'm happy to add it to the collection. So moving towards the back, this one here is by a brand called Solido or Solido. This is an SAS Jeep, and for those who don't know, the SAS is a British Special Forces, stands for Special Air Service, or in this case it would probably be LRDG, would be the Special Forces, which is the Long Range Desert Group. In North Africa, World War II, the British had Desert Commandos, and it was a new unit, of course, and the Long Range Desert Group eventually folded into the Special Air Service, and as do a lot of the history of these special operations units. This Jeep, once again, is die-cast, but it features a ton of permanently mounted plastic accessories, such as these white jerry cans, which I would assume is their, it's meant to imply that these are water-holding jerry cans, as opposed to the regular tan jerry cans, which would hold fuel. In reality, a jerry can would have a white cross on it if it was meant for water. Twin Vickers machine guns, a Browning 50 caliber, tarps, and this would be extra coolant on the front here for the radiator system. The SAS Jeeps were modified, obviously, for long-range desert use, so they would carry spare tires and as much equipment as they could squeeze into the Jeep. And their famous tactic for a Jeep like this would be to find an enemy airfield, whether it be the Germans or Italians, and at night usually they just tear ass down the airfield with their machine guns blazing and shooting up the parked planes, and then before the enemy could really gather their wits about them, they would be gone and heading off into the desert. Really cool Jeep. You never really see SAS stuff that often, but once again, though, it's plagued by the you'd never fit action figures in there. Reasonable detail on the other side, but that doesn't stop me from posing a few action figures here with the Jeep from time to time. And these are hybrid customs that I made using, this is the body base for this character, it's the same body for these two, is G.I. Joe's Quinn character. And then I outfitted them with all Marauder web gear in desert tan. Well, actually, most of the British gear for the World War II Marauders is this khaki color. The head wrap is a head wrap from a Sahara action figure, the Matthew McConaughey movie. That's a Marauder head, and the Sten machine gun is actually like a not truly Lego, but it's a Lego. The people who make extra accessories for Legos and stuff. Brick accessories, I believe they're called. So that's a Lego Sten machine gun. So I think they make pretty good Desert Commandos. This guy's carrying the Bren machine gun, and he's got a Marauder head. And this head wrap is from an Indiana Jones figure in Arab disguise. And then their officer here, he's in a little bit more stylized of a uniform, though. This is once again, I got to give a shout out to my favorite toy line, Knights of the Slice. This is a desert rat, is the character. And because these are Glyos figures where you can change parts and everything, you can change the head. This figure has been introduced in several different colorways along the way. But when I first discovered Knights of the Slice, it was this figure that got me so intrigued about the line. And wanting to know more. And eventually I tracked it down, and the character is called Desert Rat, and he's got all sorts of neat features. He's actually got more of a World War I style leather belt equipment and hardware and holster, and the character is equipped with a broom handle Mauser with the stock mounted and the extended magazine, which is wild. I mean, there's no other figure that has this weapon. And my favorite part is the head sculpt is an actual representation of a gentleman named Matthew Dowdy, who is the father of Glyos. He's created the Glyos system, and he's on interviews and stuff like that with Jesse on Toy Pizza, and he's a awesome guy, supportive of the hobby, and totally into the creative side, and just wild. He produces his own line of figures as well, all Glyos driven. So this is the godfather of Glyos, Matthew Dowdy, and he's here as a sort of Patty Main character. And if you know anything about the SAS and Patty Main, you'll understand the reference. So the Jeeps all look great, but they are just a little too restrictive to actually fit the figures inside. But they're great sort of eye candy for your dioramas and your scenes and whatnot. So we've gone through most of the Jeeps except for this one back here. So this is another super hyper die-cast collector's Jeep. And this one is from the Danberry Mint. And the two biggest differences between this one and everything else is it is a rocket firing Jeep, which mind you, none of these are just models, of course. There's no spring action or anything like that. But this one's actually in 1/16 scale. So I think here is the big reveal for people who are looking for Jeeps for their Marauders. I think the 1/16 scale is actually more appropriate for the figures. They made this Jeep, Danberry Mint made this Jeep without the rockets. It just happens to be that this is the version that I found some time ago when I was purchasing these types of toys, or display models, I should say. All die cast, fully detailed. Let's see if we can show the underside. Full suspension and exhaust system and the whole 9 yards. And does the hood flip? Yep, the hood flips up on this one as well, with a full engine interior. So if you are stalled out on the 1/16 scale battlefield, make sure you have some spare spark plugs and some tools with you. Even the little armored slits in the window slide over. So I believe these Jeeps were affectionately called, or I should say these rocket launchers were affectionately called Calliopes, and they would just fire off a salvo of looks like 12 rockets here, one after the other, bang, 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 bang. You would not be in the vehicle when this would happen. You would ideally be firing this remotely with a switch off to the side, a cable actuated switch, because the backblast of the rockets would just be too dangerous. Now, I imagine in certain situations, yes, you could hide behind this armored shield, but I think the shield is more there to protect the interior of the vehicle, and the actual operators would be well off to the side in safety. But great looking model, great Jeep, and I think it's an appropriate size for the Marauders, who are a little big for 1/18 anyway. I think they're a true 4 inches. which makes them a bigger figure. But now, if you take the 1/16 scale Jeep and you pose it with a 1/18 scale Jeep, you can clearly see the height stance and the difference. It's wider, it's bigger. But you know, when things are all assembled haphazardly, you'd be hard pressed to really notice the difference in scale. So you know, I think they're great, and it wouldn't stop me from buying either one. But if you guys are sticklers for scale, I would say that it's 1/16 scales very well with Marauder figures. Now you'll notice the difference in the stars. Some of them have rings around them, and that's generally indicative of the period of World War II. The rings around the stars was an earlier thing, and in some cases, this green area within the ring would be a lighter, more khaki color than the olive green, and that paint would be a gas indicator paint, which would change color if you were being exposed to some sort of gas agent. But as far as I'm aware, that never really happened during World War II. And then, so that's everybody in my collection for Jeeps. I know there's a couple trucks in the background. We're going to do a separate truck video a little later on. But we're going to do an honorable mention here now, and we're going to bring in a Gaz. This is a Russian Jeep, for lack of a better term, but it's post-war. So Gaz, G-A-Z, is the name of the vehicle, and it's a general utility vehicle. You know, in the typical Russian sort of no frills kind of way, particularly for the military. So all the same caveats apply. You would never be able to get 1/18 scale action figures in there behind the seats. There's just no room around the where your feet would go, around the brake pedals. However, the vehicle is just too awesome to not have. And this particular Russian soldier is a G.I. Joe soldier, Colonel Brekov or something like that, I think, from the Red Guard faction, and some other Russians. So this is from the Indiana Jones line, just your generic Russian soldier, and this is a Marauder. So you can see here, here's a good opportunity to do a comparison. So here's a Marauder next to, would be a 3.75 from the Indiana Jones line, and here's a Marauder, much closer to 4-inch scale. But I think they can all work together because obviously there's taller people and shorter people in the world, so there's variations in height, and I think it's just fine. And just to show you a little bit more about the Gaz, I think this also has an opening hood with full detail under there. Yep, there's the no frills Russian engine, and the underside with full suspension. This once again is an unbranded vehicle. I actually happen to have the box right here. So this was an eBay purchase, and I believe this actually says something to the effect of Gaz 69. This actually looks Korean to me, but I don't know. Maybe it's Chinese. So this, I'm assuming, would be a 1969 Gaz, which would make it Cold War, but certainly suitable for like Afghanistan and that sort of Cold War era. I don't think they use these anymore. But then again, you know, I think the Russians actually are using some World War II era weapons in their current campaign in Ukraine. So you know, this Marauder here, he is he is a World War II Russian. Notice the helmet is very similar to an American GI helmet, but it does dip down further on the ears. The Russians had two particular helmet styles during World War II, and the one is very similar looking to an American GI. The backpack is similar to a German mountain troops backpack, and all the other details are there. And this guy is more, he's supposed to be post-war, probably around the 1950s, I think the movie was set in. And the AK-47 was initiated in 1947, so that works. However, they give him the wrong ammo pouches, which are behind his forearm there. They're giving him Russian rifle Mosin Nagant ammo pouches, and they're giving him an AK-47, which should have a different kind of pouch for the magazines there. Here's a closer look at Mosin Nagant style ammo pouches on this Marauder figure, and the Mosin Nagant rifle, which is very long. I had one for a while, and it's got a very weird spike bayonet system, and it's just a long rifle. But these ammo pouches and accessories are also great for customizing if you guys are making like custom Jawas or Star Wars mercenaries and stuff. There's World War II web gear all over Star Wars. And then this G.I. Joe figure, he's really cool. I don't have him kitted out with his full accessories here, but he comes with like a ton of accessories. Really, really cool. So that's about it for the Jeeps. And hope you learned a little something. And if you happen to spot a 21st Century Toys Willys Jeep, I'd say pick it up. I don't know what they're going for, but it should be made to fit action figures. Now, whether it'll actually fit Marauders or not, I do not know. But that sums it up. I hope you guys are all remembering the fallen on Memorial Day and are having a lovely weekend of freedom here in the United States.